All right, you are here for a very particular reason. Welcome to Mongoose Live. It is a beautiful Monday morning, and I've got a great guest. If you're here, then you know exactly what's about to happen. I am tonight being joined by none other than the first Hmong American professional moto racer, Aden Thao. Aden recently, in this past weekend, participated in round 8 of the Junior Cup MotoAmerica Racing series that previously was at New Jersey Motorsport Park. And so Aden had an awesome weekend. If you had the opportunity to watch the races, great for you. Support MotoAmerica, support Aden. And also, if you watched live with me, then welcome again. Nhớ rằng tàu sẽ đợi cho tôi mono tôi còn cụ thế cụ tôi không như Aden Aden hóa sinh ta cho MotoAmerica Round 8 nhớ tàu Lusang, New Jersey. Nếu tôi cũng nó cũng Moto America là tôi cho ý cho video recap and rong hay rong sai. The link to Samushula, it's on YouTube. The Moto America has released some very good recap videos, and it was a very, very extremely exciting round 8 2 week weekend race full of lots of action, lots of falling, lots of rain actually the second day. And I'm joined by none other than Aden Thao. We're going to talk about it, but a little bit of housekeeping first. I just want to say thank you to everyone that has been joining me in my journey with Mongoose. I'm very happy to announce that Mongoose has officially we've now have 10,000 followers, which is a great milestone for us, because 10,000, that's the first step of growing the channel. And I thank you so much for joining me here today, especially if you are one of my followers. However, if you're not and you're just here, then please do spend one moment to say hi to me, so I know that you're here, so that we interact. We are very much interested in community. I don't try to be formal. I'm very informal. In fact, tonight, if you would like to join Aden and me and have a conversation, you can just direct message me and I'll send you the link to join us. If you have a question for Aden about the races this weekend or questions in general, you can just direct message me and I'll happily have you come on live with us. You're more than willing to join us. Just be good in many different ways. But you can help this channel by sharing it on social media. There's a couple of outlets that you're probably watching it here. You might be watching it on Mongoose, the Longher site, or the Longher YouTube page. Or if you didn't notice, you can also now watch this on the Aden Thao, the brand new Aden Thao Racing page. It's a public page specifically for Aden and his endeavors. We try to show all things Aden Thao on the track and also off the track. So really exciting. Let's help Aden move forward with his social media influence. Let's help Aden grow and fundraise and whatnot for his all his racing endeavors and needs. But of course, please subscribe to the Mongoose channel on YouTube and hit that notification button. And then also, Aden, if you haven't a chance yet, go to Aden Thao Racing on Facebook and follow Aden there. Again, Aden Thao, Aden Thao recap of MotoAmerica Round 8 at New Jersey at Motorsport Park. Without further ado, Aden, how are you?
I'm doing good, Long. Man, it's I'm happy to be back here on Mongoose. And first things first, congratulations for hitting your first milestone. I saw that earlier in the day, and I'm super proud of with this channel and this podcast, live, whatever you want to. Man, this past weekend, it was a lot of emotions, a lot of ups and downs. I wanted to talk about it and share about it with all of you guys. And what's near to come in the next race in Alabama. We'll talk about that a little bit more.
Very nice. So my dearie Sean, thank you for joining us tonight, saying, oh wow, yes, very well. I do hope one day that Aden Thao Racing will get to 10,000 too. I don't see why not. Aden Thao Racing, in my opinion, will get there extremely fast. But that being said, let's talk New Jersey. So this is New Jersey. New Jersey, you guys left on Wednesday, got there Thursday. Did your warm up trials on Friday, and then Friday afternoon, you guys did your qualifying track number one.
Yep.
Challenging because from what your dad told me, there was some issues with the bike with gear shifting. What was that like?
Yeah. So like you said, was correct. We did leave here on Wednesday, and we did get there that same night. Thursday was kind of to set up for pit, make sure the bike's ready to go, make sure the bike is going home that doesn't know what tech is. Tech is pretty much where we send our bikes, and the motor they give us the okay that our bike is 100% legal. It's safe to be out on to be able to race for the weekend. Friday during the qualifying, we did run those issues. Actually, was not resolved until the final race of the day on Sunday. And it wasn't just the shifting issues that was. We also had gearing issues that we were trying to figure out, suspension issues, and those are pretty basic problems that we run into every time it seems like we just can't get a break from any of that stuff this year. And I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of ups and downs that we had to go through this week. It's just part of the sport that we all sign up to do.
When I watch you race, so I've more or less have watched you all season. Your bike, in my opinion, was top notch in the beginning of the season. It seemed like the bike at the beginning, that bike was at that time could pace, and it could beat any other bike on there. I think that's fair to say.
Yep.
And then throughout the season, we won't talk about protesting, but there's things that's protesting. We won't talk about it, but all that plays a role into how your bike functions. Whenever I see your bike and I see that you're drifting back, that's how I know that there's something going on with the bike, or there's something challenging that I know that like I keep on telling people, you put Aden on a bike that has no issues, Aden's probably going to take first. Like a good example is Thailand. Right? I mean, basically Thailand, that first race, you were front of the pack the whole entire time. Second, and then they drafted you towards the end, and then the second race you pretty much just won that. And so I'm like, I tell them, well, there's a lot of issues with bikes. The mechanics are great, but like what I怎么念到某里到是呢？其中的like for example, like Max to STG here, Kayla them with Altus, their situation, your company law, and I think that's why it's so amazing to see you ride so hard and still place very well. During warm-ups, you actually during qualifying, you actually you started 11th on the grid, which was a little further back than what you're typically used to, but pretty amazing, especially the second race when you fought all the way to sixth position. Six, yeah. I thought should have been fifth, but we'll talk about that later.
So, what you said was very, and man, it's crazy that you know so much about this lifestyle, and just under a season, and it's crazy to hear you talk. Sounds like you've been around motorcycle racing your whole life, just the way you're talking about thing, and that just goes to show how much you actually do pay attention and stay up to date racing. And like you mentioned earlier, in the beginning of the season, we solid platform. We did have a pretty good machine that I was riding. There's a lot of conflict that does go with racing as well. There's a lot of inseams with a rider. There could be conflict with riders. Ever since we had to get a new motor, right after the race here in Laguna Seca, I believe that was round 5. every new motor for the engine and the bike. Everything kind of got a lot for that. Like you mentioned earlier, in the beginning season, we were rolling. We were qualifying really good, and pretty much after the fifth round and it's been really tough for me and the team to get the bike situated and what you said was true and is correct as well. A lot of front runners and the junior cup class, they do have a lot of have that that team, that foundation, and get them up there troubles. And no matter how good of a team you are, you're still gonna run into some with each other. But that having that opportunity just puts you so much. And I'm just wanting to wrap this MotoAmerica season up, place in the championship, and I know we can still place a top 5 in the championship. So the goal that we're shooting for as of right now.
For the record, you are in 6th place, and you are only 18 points behind Max Van der Broek, which is nothing. That's basically a podium, basically. And Max, which is Hmong, that's Max Nondoa, right? Max, 你配 Nondoa like Nondoa this weekend, Nondoa at least all job maybe 比咗的啊，誒你冇望到可你唔拜你 call 用嘢啊，你冇嘢就 call 你拜託你自你冇嘢行啊，but basically it's either STG, so basically infinite parts, fair to say, or close to it, but very good, 18 points behind him. And do you think it's going to rain in Alabama?
I could almost guarantee it's going to be one of the days. This time of year in Barber, Alabama, it's usually rain. There was 2 years ago when I was still doing junior cup. We didn't have any rain here that season, and it was pretty shocking for everyone in the paddock, because October, when we get to Birmingham, usually it's starting to rain as well. We did check the weather just earlier today, and it says it's going to be for the past 2 years. That's what it's been saying: clear skies, no rain, and then when it's 100% chance of rain, and almost a foot of rain on. We all know how that's going to play out, because what we're going to be talking about soon, how it's going to play out if it does end up raining. And I'm not bashing anyone. I'm super excited. For those that do know what we're talking about, Kayla Yakov, she's making all of us look like we're not even moving. I personally have no problems, no issues racing in rain. It's one of my favorites. It's definitely a skill that I have to race in the rain as well, but I'm super excited for it.
We'll talk about Kayla too. We can't avoid Kayla, especially what she did on the second day in the rain, because number one, Kayla, if you follow Kayla, she dirt rides, and so it's funny because it was Hayden. What's his first name? It's not Nicky Hayden. It's his brother.
Roger Hayden.
Yeah, basically he talks about the way you change your gearing on your bike in the rain, and it looks like almost like Kayla was so confident that she barely changed her gearing, almost like she just stayed on slick gearing or something. But she rode like she was on slick tires almost, because she got, at one point she was like 8 seconds ahead of everyone, which is crazy. But that being said, let's look at some of the footage before we do that. Let's talk about New Jersey, the track, because the track plays a huge role. I don't know where it is. Maybe you can show us, Aden, where it is on the track. But when I watch the other racers, the different classes, everyone kept on slipping in this one spot. They called it what do you call it, the puddle or something. But people over and over again would slip at that spot, slip at that spot. Max slipped at that spot. But maybe you can tell us which corner it is. Let me preface a little bit because I know there are a lot of people that are watching right now. If you're watching, please say hi and don't leave. And I'll tell you why you shouldn't leave. Because no professional rider will ever sit down with you and explain the track to you, and they will not give you an inside review of the actual footage. So it's really, Aden, number one, I'm super privileged that you're here. I can't get anyone else to sit here and give me a run through of what happened during the race. Others might, but they're not going to take the time, and it's a true privilege to have you here. But also because we're a small community and we have the ability to do so. And I love providing the media outlet for you to discuss it and to really connect with your fans. And so we've got people watching on Mongoose, along her page, along her YouTube page, and also now on the Aden Racing, Aden Thao Racing page. So without further ado, let's pull this up. And I hope people can see it. They may not be able to see the numbers because the numbers aren't quite in focus, but can you see that okay, Aden?
Yep.
Can you see the numbers okay?
Yep.
Okay, so let me see if I can navigate this correctly. Where are we? Give me one sec here, Aden. Can you see my pointer? Yeah.
Yes.
So here's the starting line. That on first of all, this track is shorter than most, correct? Because you guys were lapping it at 1:30.
So this is definitely one of the smaller tracks in the MotoAmerica season. I think it's one of the better tracks for 400s. You know, a lot of the tracks that we do go to, man, it's boring. You know, they're super long, and you know it takes forever to get around. But you know, on tracks, especially on our smaller displacement bikes, you know, there's more action tracks because there's more turns. We're constantly doing something. We're not sitting down long, super long straights all the time like Road America, Wisconsin.
Yeah. So here's the starting line here. This on this map, this straightaway from turn 12 to 1 looks like it's so long, but man, you guys ripped through that part so fast. It's either that it's not as long as this map looks, or you guys are just flying down here. I think your fastest speed that was clocked was about 120. But that being said, turn 1 when it was dry was when a lot of people fell. What's so hard about turn 1?
So pretty much from the right part of your screen, from
over here,
turn 10 onto 11, 11A and 12, we're all the way coming out of turn 10 already. So you know, back to what you were saying about the front straight looks very long, but you know we fly through the front straight very fast is because we're already in 6th gear pinned. So we're coming out of turn 12 onto the, you know, 100 miles per hour already coming out of turn 12 and going in, you know, all the way 6th gear back down to 3rd gear, and that's about 40. So we're braking from 120, you know, 130 miles per hour all the way down to 4, less than 3 seconds. So you know, turn 1 is definitely going to catch a lot of ride.
There was a left turn where people kept on falling. Do you know where that turn is? Where it was consistently wet all the time on race 2? It was a left-handed turn.
About turn 5.
Right here, 5.
Yeah.
And it looked like it was going uphill almost.
It's yes. I actually funny story. I actually went down in turn 5 as well on on race 2 when it was raining. I crashing before the race even started in turn But you know, they never caught any of that because the race hasn't even started yet. The commentators were still they're talking about the track, and when that happened, for those that don't understand what the warm up lap is, the sighting lap, the sighting for us riders, we do one lap around the track, and then we stop on the grid. The sighting lap is just for us riders to go around the track one more time, see where you know where the water is. Is there any standing water? Is there you know, it's just pretty much to refresh in your mind. And I actually went in turn 5, that left-hander, and I was very, very nervous because if I didn't get my bike up, then I would have completely missed the race. And I don't know, I was riding with a bent handlebar and a bent clutch left foot peg. My bike was super dirty on the left side. My leathers was super. You could really tell in the videos, but it was definitely a hard race, and we didn't have to get the bike situated even during the red flag.
Interesting. We didn't know that. See, those are the things we don't know. We didn't see you fall. They didn't actually record much of you until the closer end to race 2.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting to see because we could see you, and then we could see people falling around you, eventually in front of you and behind you.
Yeah.
So let's anything in particular you want to show us about this track before we look at footage?
No. We could pull up the footage and we could talk about the footage there.
I guess my first question to you is: have you seen the footage from the one that MotoAmerica put out? So this isn't my footage. It's actually, I'm okay showing it. I believe is because MotoAmerica has put it on YouTube live, YouTube freely. So we're just gonna walk through their footage that they put up. Have you seen the footage already?
Yeah, tough one. I did see the highlights, but I'm not sure what you're going to be showing me.
It's the highlights, basically.
Okay.
Whatever MotoAmerica put up. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so it won't be anything new to you, and you would have seen it already. So you can walk us through a little bit. So let's take a look.
Yeah.
So we'll look at race 1 and 2. Oh, you've got a question here from CM Yang. He says, Aden Thao, are you running a new engine? How's it running?
Yeah, I'm running a completely new motor for this race here in New Jersey, and I think we're up to par. You know, I think we have a really great power for weekend, and you know, we're just talking numbers here. And to finish off the MotoAmerica, I do think that we have a good motor. There was some stuff that we had to do inside the motor, talking about earlier. It was about the shifters and the gearing. The gearbox was a problem that we were having.
Okay, good. And then Patty, thanks for being here with us, Patty. She says good evening to Long and Aden. Aden is Aden, by the way. But thank you for joining us tonight. Okay, so let's take a look at this. I've kind of seen these. I haven't seen it in super detail, but because I saw the live one already. But we'll walk through it. For all the people that are viewing, you can also view this on MotoAmerica's YouTube page. You just won't get the wonderful commentary from Aden. Let's see here. Let me know if you can hear it okay or if you can't hear it.
Scheduled in this one. The red light's already on, so we're away racing. And a little wheelie from third spot, but there goes Gus Rodeo. He's going right to the middle part of the track. Kayla Yakov needs to move over, but the 31 looks like she might have the inside line. Gus tries to sweep around the outside, but it's going to be Yakov who takes over the spot.
She just wasn't having it, was she? She was not having it. And Joe Laundrie Jr. takes advantage of that because...
Hey, Aden, can I ask you about the launch?
Yeah. What's your question?
So what's the launch? Obviously, is harder than it looks. What happens during the launch? What are you doing to your bike during the launch to make it? So I thought that your launch was really good at race 2 because there was a point where you just flew forward. What's happening during the launch where some people can get so far so fast in that launch? But I guess what are you doing when you're launching that makes it work so well?
Yeah, so pretty much, if you listen really, really closely, the second we're about to launch, you can hear bikes hitting the rev limiter. And rev limiter it's red line. And we're pretty much revving up the engines, but we're still holding on to the clutch. So we're pretty much loading up. And the second the red lights go off, that's when we let go of the clutch. And then since we already loaded up the motor, the engine, the initial release of the clutch will kind of launch our bike a lot faster than you would if you were to just get on the gas. The RPMs are so high up in the power band already. You have that initial power. It's kind of like, if you were driving and you were at a red light, off the brake and you hit the gas. Yes, you will still go fast, but you would go if you're sitting at the red light and the red light turned green. If you were holding on to the gas at the same time and you let the brake go, then what you're essentially doing, same thing goes for a race bike as well. It's the same concept. I know a lot of racers do this as well. They load up their motors, they load up their engines to help a lot faster.
Who in that lineup, in that grid, would you say, in terms of this season that you've been racing with, who is like consistently just good at launching? It's okay if you say it's me too, but who would you say consistently launches really well?
From my past experience, I would say Avery Dreyer. He's in the frame as of right now, but he's on the very, very light turquoise, and man, I don't know, he has some really good starts. I had decent starts this weekend as well. Definitely not my best starts in the world. We were also running into what we were mentioning earlier, the shifting problem. So every time I would get an amazing launch, my bike wouldn't go into the next gear, over rev my motor, and all that hard work just disappeared because they got off the start, or getting me right back because my bike can't shift into the next gear. So problems that we were running into. And race 2, the second race, we got that problem resolved, and we had line.
Very good. So let's continue watching. I'll be honest, the only thing that I can relate to, I don't know if you play it, but Mario Kart, there's a way to launch in Mario Kart, but I have a feeling it's not like that at all. Okay, let's see here.
Gus actually had to check up a little bit. Let's see what happens. They go into turn 5. No, Kayla's going to hold them all off. She's going to go in there nice and tight.
So Yakov on that Altus Motorsports. All riders in this field in this race are on Kawasaki Ninja 400s.
Whether he clinches the championship here this weekend or in 2 weeks' time.
And a tremendous crash coming out of the front straightaway. Rider down, coming across.
Okay, so that happens right at you, basically. Can you walk us through what happened? So this is just before you guys even crossed the line. Do you recall what happened at all?
Yeah, so I actually do of what happened. And so pretty much what happened with the rider, coming onto the front straight. I'm not sure if I'm allowed of too much of what happened, but I unfortunately I did have a very, very bad race. That's why if you look closely, I was pretty far in the back, and I was doing my hardest, pushing my hardest front, and to fight for the podium positions. The rider that went down, remind me of his name. The rider that went down here in the video made contact in one of the last corners, and I do hitting him, rubbing against him in the middle of the corner. I never saw the rider go down because in the video I was already in front of the rider when he went down on the front straightaway right here. And I'm not too sure. I did talk to the two guys that was still in the frame, Owen Williams and Keegan Brown right there on the black, and talk to them, and I did ask them, hey, what happened back there, because really recall seeing too much of what happened with the incident, and he ended up making more contact on the front straight, but I never second contact. I never realized that we ended up rubbing, and so that's where I was a little confused on how the rider. I did go talk to the rider after the race, and I did go he was okay. Unfortunately, he did get ran over by one of the he was totally okay, and just a little sore, and the thing about us racers is that even though these accidents do happen from time to time, that's one thing that we all have to do when we're out there racing. You can see the slow motion right here.
Yeah, right there. Owen runs him over.
Yeah.
I think that just comes with the territory. You can't, everyone out there is battling, and at the end of the day, if not him, then eventually someone. And it's been you in the past too. So it kind of comes with the territory, and I think people understand it. Oh, let's try not to go to an ad. So we'll watch this little ad for a second here. Oh, did it restart? No, that's the restart now. So now you guys are racing again. This race you actually finished in race 1 is 8th, correct?
Yes.
Okay. For this track, do you prefer riding it dry or wet?
Oh, for sure, dry. New Jersey has a terrible reputation of riding in the rain. I don't think this track has ever been resurfaced since it was created back in 2000. I know some parts of the track has been resurfaced. A few patches has. I don't think this track's ever been resurfaced, and like I mentioned, the reputation of being very, very slippery and having little to no grip, and that's also why a lot of the riders
there goes
do
Max.
end up crashing. That's why a lot of the riders do end up crashing in rain because of the limited traction.
The surface, is it pretty uneven, fair to say, or is it pretty smooth?
It's very bumpy.
So I can only compare it. Oh, there's Cody Wyman, which we were super surprised that he fell, and no one even got footage of his fall. But compared to Button Willow, smoother or rougher?
Oh, it's worse than Button Willow.
Really? Wow.
For sure. That says a lot.
Okay. Wow. The grass looks nice, but I guess the pavement is a lot worse. Okay, really good, really good. So that's lap 3. So a lot of people fell within the first couple of laps. Yeah. So otherwise, this race finishes up. I think this one Gus won. Yeah.
Yes.
Gus drafts like 3 bikes amazingly and beats out Joseph Lemandry and Thao. I don't know if you saw, but the post interview, Joseph Keith Hill, you can see his face. He was because I think Gus beat him up by like a tire. Yeah. The other rider that's specific there is Ojiwara, whom you had the opportunity to meet. What's the kid like? He's like, they were saying he was 14 years old in 3 days.
Yeah,
I mean, he could barely ride.
His first name is Ryota. Riders from Japan, and
here he takes first.
Here he's leading with the red circle. And for those that don't know what that is, Japan flag. That's what they're symbolizing. The completely white bike with the red circle in the middle. He's one of the national champions out in Japan, and they brought him over to compete in the last 2 races of MotoAmerica here in New Jersey and Barber.
I thought his bike was really fast. Like it was like basically an untouched bike, I think. Also, he almost podiumed.
Yeah, he was very close. Yes,
I was actually rooting for him to take it. I think during the second to the last lap, the last lap, he goes way up in the front and then ultimately gets drafted that way.
I believe he finished 4th in the first race here.
Yeah, I thought he did really well. It would have been really cool for him to, but that wouldn't be the case. So
yeah, it's definitely different because I do understand his. I got to talk to him. He doesn't really know any English at all, but luckily he did have a translator there, so I did get to communicate with him. He's a very, very talented rider, and at first glance you would never think that some young guy like him, barely turning 14 a few days ago, hop on a motorcycle and compete at these levels. And you understand because when I went to Thailand, I didn't know any of the people who was the fast guy, who was the dangerous guy, the guy to stay away with, because he doesn't understand his competitors. He doesn't understand that he's racing against with, and that's something that I had to learn when I was in Thailand as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so he gets drafted right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool. Really talented. Is he one of these kids who's been racing since they're like 3-2, or is he a fairly new rider?
Ryota, he's been racing since old, and he does a lot of flat track dirt riding, and he's been on a motorcycle his whole life.
Okay, so that explains a lot. Macy's here. Macy is a emerging artist, and she says hi. Hi, Aden. Hi, Long. Big fan. Very nice. Hi, Macy. Thanks for joining us. So race 1, transmission issues here and there. That becomes an issue. Like most people would say, well, fine, then just shift your bike. Yeah, but you lose like this little tiny tenth of a second, but a tenth of a second times what? 10 rounds is now a second. and people you watch that race was won by milliseconds, pretty much. And so people might not understand how crucial a tenth of a second is.
Yeah, when it comes to racing, time is everything. You know, I think Kayla had an ace during race 2, and are you gonna pull up footage about that here in a sec?
Of race 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up race 2. Let me pull race 2 up really quick.
Okay, I believe Kayla had an 8-second lead on us, but that looks like, and you know that's just pretty much goes to show, you know, how crucial. What me and Long was talking about earlier. I ended up taking 6 in the rain during race 2. From the camera angle, you can't tell who won, me or us, by 14,000th of a second.
Yeah, so that makes a huge difference. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Let's play this. So to give proper, I guess, to give perspective, you guys were supposed to race at like 12:30. I think, was it 12:30?
Yep.
'Cause it was 9:30 here, and it was kind of raining. And so what they did was they said, okay, they put you guys off into the end of the day, basically, because of the rain. And so you guys, it was deemed that you guys, because I remember you guys weren't sure if you were going to put on slicks or rain tires, and then, well, they solved the problem. Well, they tabled you guys until the end, and it was raining for sure. So, and it was actually raining really hard right before you guys, and then actually when you guys raced, it was actually relatively dry. When you guys started, was rain actually hitting your visor?
A little bit. It was sprinkling a little bit when we first started. Went out and raced around 12:30. We would have ended up racing in dry condition, but like you said, they pushed us back all the way until I think 4 around that time, and it was 100% guaranteed rain. And it was in the first race. As in race 2, it was spring. You know, the track was still very, very, very wet at the time.
All right, let's take a look here. So again, I'm not sure what Kayla did to her gearing or what special magic that's beyond my mind, but she flew away in the beginning. And I don't know the dynamics of the bike to make a bike do that, but let's take a look here.
We'll start for pole position when the lights go off. We're rolling.
I thought you got a pretty good start
wet conditions.
here,
Yakov, middle part of your screen on the 31.
because you started 11th.
96 on the outside, and it's Yakov who takes the lead. Jason Kayla was some 2 seconds faster than the field in the wet warm-up, and we know from Barber Motorsports Park last year that Kayla can absolutely shred in wet conditions.
Look at her right now, head down, just rolling away.
In these conditions, we have what's rain tires, of course, deeply grooved tires, softer compound to allow some heat in there. And and a rider down, it's Avery Dreher. What a run from Avery Dreher.
So he's trying to get out from underneath that bike, pick it back up, and kind of get started going again, if he can. But that's too bad for the Bad Boys Racing team there.
She continues to set faster and faster laps.
There's Odor in the background sliding off of the track, and just in front is Avery Dreher as well, a couple riders down.
So one of the things I noticed was so for those who don't know, Avery Dreher beat you by like at the most half a tire, in my opinion, at the most. What I've noticed, especially with rain racing, is that, and red flagging, is like a huge advantage to people, actually, because if there was not a red flag, Avery Dreher would never have finished 5th.
Yeah.
It was when they regrid that he was able to even have a minute chance. Kayla Yakov, actually, she must have been a little bitter, because she was, if there was no red flag, which we'll see in a little bit, she would have. I mean, she was at 7, almost 8 seconds ahead of everyone at one point. Maybe 6 or 7, but 6 or 7 seconds in moto riding is huge for one rider to go up front. But we'll take a look at it. But what I noticed is that red flags are like so interesting because let me you can tell me this is right or wrong. If you cause the red flag, then you go to the back.
Yes and no. It really depends. You know, it could be a good advantage, or it could be to a rider like Avery Dreyer or Max Van that ends up going a red flag. Then that's sometimes good because you have out there and compete in a race again. But for a rider like Casperito that has, you know, a huge lead on the rest of the field, you know, they must be going through a lot because they know that they could have easily won. There was never a red flag. Thus mean they have to do all of that again, you know, and they have to do all that hard work once again and risk not crashing, risk not to fight with other racers. So it goes both ways, and theoretically, yes, if you do end up causing a red flag, you do end up going to the back tier. Max Van was the one that caused the red flag. It was not forced. It was not a forced red flag from Max Van. Just the way that ended up sliding after his crash, it ended up right. And I think they'll show it here when Max Van goes down.
Yeah, let's take a look.
The good news is that she doesn't look like she's pushing extremely hard. She just looks.
So here she's 7.5 seconds up.
A red flag. We have a red flag. We hear that Max Van has gone down. We have a red flag right now, Greg. Oh, he's running to pick it up.
He is running to pick it up, and sometimes that happens, Jay,
Yeah,
especially
so where his bike
with
is
SportBikeTracker.com Junior Cup bike. No electronic.
An unsafe condition for them. I know you guys can't really tell on a camera, but from where his bike is going uphill, and his bike is actually on top of a hill. We are coming on to where Max Van is currently standing right now with his bike. Until you reach the top of the hill, and you know that could be a very unsafe race. So that's why MotoAmerica had to throw the red flag up, you know, stop the race, all the riders back into their pits, and restart the race.
Yeah, there was one heel in particular where Hayden kept on saying that the gearing mattered a lot because I didn't quite understand, but coming up that hill, there was just going so fast, people's tires would just spin out. I don't know where that is, but he would say that a lot, and some of them, especially on the super bikes, some of them would struggle with that. But that being said, let's keep going.
And so sometimes just kind of lose the rear.
Well, he's chasing Gus. There it is.
Yeah.
So it's right out of turn 10.
It was kind of off the patch. We've seen people crash getting onto that initial patch.
Oh, that's what they call it. That's the patch.
We don't want to do anything to
It's the
disrupt
patch.
flow there, but we want to make sure that you realize that you got a gigantic lead. And she probably knew that anyways, Greg, just from that short warm-up earlier. Now, this race for second, Gus Rodeo and Max Van. Max Van, we saw him yesterday have a big cartwheel in the turn that he's currently getting ready to roll through. This one right here. He had a big accident. I went and checked with the team last evening, and they had that bike completely stripped apart. And so they did a great job of getting him back out on track.
That's a bike. 6.9 seconds, so 7-second lead for Kayla Yakov in 3 laps. Wow. Still 7 to go. That tells you user head, like Jason said.
So Avery Dreyer at one point was in 4th.
Around the 1:30, 1 minute 30 mark. 1:29.9 was pole position in qualifying. So you can see the speed difference. 15 seconds with these Dunlop rain tires. If you're new to SportBikeTracker.com Junior Cup or new to motorcycle road racing, MotoAmerica, the premier racing series in the United States.
In the Japanese rider down, and we said it could jump up and bite you at any given time. There's Ojiwara. They're looking at that bike. You see the fairing missing off the front. They're trying to get it where it's able to roll.
These guys at front.
What I thought was really interesting, Aiden, is some bikes when they crash, you would think, oh, that bike is going to be fine. They're going to keep riding. But in the case of Ojiwara, they didn't come back. And then some bikes that were like crashed into actual pavement and whatnot, you would thought that that bike is dead, but they get it back up. I guess it's just luck of the draw and depends on what you break.
It just pretty much depends. Crashing in the rain is not as bad as crashing in dry conditions. In the rain, your bike, there's not as much friction when the bike is you know. What I actually went down, I was riding on a broken handlebar, a bent handlebar and bent clutch lever here throughout, because like I said earlier, I ended up crashing on the siding lap here. Some on, you know, how you crash, how fast you're going, and what your bike hits side while it's sliding on the ground. And you know, you have being able to run to your bike and pick it up and continue to race. But Max Van's bike, where it started tumbling and in race one, that's usually when it tends to have a lot more damage.
Yeah, his bike during race one was spent a good amount of time in the air before it landed, and his handlebars were just totaled. Hmong 828 says, "Hey champ." Okay, very nice.
They want to look up the road to Kayla, try to follow her. They're not going to be able to chase her down. She's just too hooked up right now. And you can see we have a crash. Is that Owen Williams? Possibly. It's like, Owen, yeah, it is.
I know it looked like he got stuck under the bike for a moment.
And he was actually running really well before that red flag. So it'll be interesting to see what happened there.
See if Owen can get that bike up.
It's a struggle.
Let's take a look left part of your screen, Jay. What do you see?
Oh, it just got spun around is all that happened, and the riders behind him did a tremendous job missing him. So,
all right, here we go.
So in that shot, there's a Mustang in the back. What's the Mustang's purpose of being in the back? In that shot, you can see it behind it, Owen.
Yeah, so pretty much in every out there, you know, even car racing, but in every type of racing, there's always what's called a safety car, and that safety car is pretty much there to make sure all the riders get through the first lap of the race safely. A lot could just, you know, be advertisement for the big sponsors to advertise their product or their vehicle, whatever it is. I think in a lot of the shots that you see us when we're lined up on the grid, was actually facing at us. You could see a variety of different things, but they only go around the track one time and then they pull out of it. That's why you never see the car always chase us during that is pretty much just a safety hazard to make sure all of the track safely and mainly for advertisement uses.
Interesting. All right, very good.
4 laps to go in this race. And our race leader, Kayla Yakov, on pole position.
So you got a really bounce right there.
Start. Gus Rodeo had a good one, but there goes Yakov into turn number 1. She'll have the lead again after that over 7-second lead she had built up in the first part of this race. Gus Rodeo in second spot.
So I guess my question to you is, why is Kayla like exploding off? Her launch wasn't that great, but what is it about her bike at this point where it's like, okay, she's just gone? Is it something that she's doing with she's not adjusting for the rain? Where like my theory was that maybe she's not adjusting for the rain. What are your thoughts?
Kayla, she's a talented rider. For being a girl, she blows everyone's minds, and to us, we always joke around. People always joke around like, "Oh man, you guys are getting, you guys are getting killed by a girl." But she's what basically what she's doing, dirt bike riding skills. So she's very used to riding in conditions. There's actually a YouTube video that's somewhere out there showing her before she got into MotoAmerica Junior Cup. Her lifestyle, her life, and she has a track in her front yard. She has an out yard, so she has a lot of seat time. She has a lot of experience riding, and basically another thing that she's doing differently, the way she's launching her bike compared to the rest of us. Every one of us, we don't have the opportunity to ride in the rain. We do. Back to what we were talking about earlier, how we load up the motor and we get ready to launch our bikes. There's a thing that you have to master, especially in the rain. Due to the low traction, the low grip, you actually risk your rear tire and end up crashing on the grid, on the base. So it's kind of like for those car people out there, if you horsepower car and you were just to stomp on the gas very, very hard, then your tires could spin out, you could lose control. It's basically the same thing. Is that time the clutch, the gearing and everything perfectly to where and her tires, they don't lose traction. She doesn't wheelie. It's a talent that she has that that she.
Very interesting. Good insight. I don't know these things, so whatever you see from your perspective is so valuable because I'm not on the track, especially in the rain. So, all right, let's keep going.
So a 144.5 for Gus Rodeo. And then you have Cody Wyman and Avery Dreyer there in the 99. The 55 is Aden Thao. Then you have Keegan Brown, and there is Bazooka Joe.
Yeah.
Joe Lamondre. So now for Lamondre up to 6th place. The reason we talk about him is because it's Cody Wyman, Gus Rodeo, Lamondre, and Kayla Yaakov in his championship hunt. On the final lap, the white flag lap, is Yaakov trying to get it done to capture her 3rd race win of the season. And Gus Rodeo keeping it close, 3.4 seconds.
I'll tell you right now that Joe Lamondre keeps chipping away at this. Cody Wyman's up the road, but Cody just went 47.4. Lamondre goes 44.2. And if he can get on the back of Cody Wyman and maybe put himself in a position to draft past 34, you see, it looks like a long way, Greg, but in these conditions, if a rider feels comfortable, he can try to continue to close that gap.
Yeah, for Lamondre continuing as he goes up. Oh, I thought for a second he was going to make that move, but after that crash earlier, he just continues to build confidence. Kenny Roberts, replica helmet, trying to kill some of King Kenny in this race.
And that was probably going to be enough, just enough to hold him up to where he's not going to be able to make a run at 3rd. But if he had another lap or so, Cody's right there in the picture.
Good riding by Joe Lamondre. An inspirational rider is doing it in all conditions, but we knew if it rained that Yaakov has got something special, James. A smooth riding style, always behind the bubble, always competitive.
Hey, Aiden, so when they say the smooth riding style, what the heck are they talking about?
Basically, how a rider's body maneuvers on the bike. She's not being super aggressive, not making super fast, quick movements that could possibly upset the bike, throw you off the bike. So basically, when they say smooth, smooth riding, basically just explaining to us as the audience about how movement is on the bike.
Absolutely. Onto the front straightaway. Kayla Yako behind the bubble. The checkered flag flies, and Yako will take her third victory of the season. Gus Rodeo in second, who does the fastest lap of the race on the last lap, at least so far. Here comes Cody Wyman. He minimizes the damage.
I thought you won this, Aden.
In fourth place.
That's a great job for Cody there. Just like you say, Greg, minimizing that damage. Now he's got to.
Yeah. I actually replayed that over and over. I was like, I think Aden won one, but of course we can't really see. And I'm assuming they're making the announcements according to the transponder.
Yes, they're going off of our lap times. Camera right at the finish line. Sometimes the racing is so can't tell who won, even on the lap time. So there is a camera that they do go right out the start finish line right there.
I was like, hey Mary, thanks for joining us. I was talking to your dad because I was looking at it, and I was like, hey, I think Aden won. But this is me learning about rules. What do I know, right? But I guess the rule is that they only have to picture review the first three guys. And so, because you guys were 5 and 6, they didn't have to review you guys. So I was like, "Come on, MotoAmerica, just do your job. Just look at the dang picture, please." And so you guys would have to do like a protest, basically.
Yeah.
But whatever. That being said,
every driver is actually the guy that's behind me in the championship. So I guess if you did want to protest that and take that from whoever it is, every driver or whoever, then those are
the point difference between 5 and 6 is what, like 2 points or something like that?
Yeah, 2-3 points. Okay. So it's nothing. It's nothing too dramatic. So it's not really gonna affect too much. But if you were when people they start getting very anxious about that kind of.
Yeah, I could see it if it's like kind of like Danilo and Jake Gagne, where they were 1 point away. Now they're not 1 point away anymore, but that would make huge sense to me. Yeah. But all right, well, that was MotoAmerica Round 8, New Jersey. Definitely one of the more exciting, stressful for us people watching at home. Must be 10 times more stressful for riders on there, especially when there's a red card and you guys have to just sit and wait. So when there's a red card, it's like a 15-minute or something where you guys just have to sit there?
It could be 5 minutes. It could be, all the way until 20 minutes. It could be it takes to clean up the damage that's on track, whatever it is. When it comes to those kind of situations, we kind of sit there and we kind of just wait for Moto to give us the heads up of, what's the plan. Sometimes the red flag is going to take back to our pits, and we could take off our helmets, we could relax, and then they will get warm up. That our race will be restarting. Then we'll get back out on the track. But sometimes, like I said, it could be a few minutes, it could be an hour, or in this situation, they could back to the last race of the day. So it just really depends on what kind of situation.
Yeah, 我們係龍康師，because 你問到人哋是同多嘅都咪加你只要都會停到啦，所以咁樣嘛 俾當地啲都可能情況你估計保養你操作我有啲主聽到嘅MotoAmerica 啲當地啦，是聽到頭就 flag 呢你出問題門啦，然後你偏睇你可能你擺你搞那啲then都可能你 want to shift your hit and brake 那地浪啊，有啲個小學位咯嘛，你撞人地啲為啥的有啲你掉落去撞人地門啦 but maybe that's just some thoughts that I have that there's interesting the way 你考慮到 MotoAmerica 佢幫係你聽，sometimes 你會中，sometimes 你會中，but it is what it is. Any thoughts about New Jersey?
Definitely not my favorite track. Definitely not my most hated. Just one of the tracks that we have to go to and compete. New Jersey, it's actually had pretty decent. Actually, a few years back, I believe I took an 8th there. As my first year of the Junior Cup season. So, there's just a lot of upside, but I'm very excited for Alabama. Alabama, because we actually haven't gone there yet. But I'm very excited because that's the piece of the MotoAmerica season. After that, we do have big plans to go back in Spain, Asia, and we'll see where we go from there. But to race again at Barber, because last year I was not able to Barber last year, so going back is going to be a big learning lesson again, because we have very limited data of that track, 400s there, so we're gonna have to find and figure out all of that all over again, just like how we did with. If we get hit with rain, it's gonna be a lot harder. What we had to do in New Jersey is that we went there. We went there kind of blind as much as we can out during the dry sessions and racing. And when the rain came, then we had to figure out a whole bunch of other things that we were. Barber is going to be very, very fun. I'm very excited about it, and we definitely have to talk right after Barber, because that's the last race of the year, and we can do all of the 8-9 MotoAmerica rounds, and I think if we talk about each individual race out there.
What's the track on Barber like? Is it pretty pristine, pretty nice for an American track?
Oh yeah, Barber is definitely, it's, in my opinion, I think it's one of the best tracks out there. The facility there is very beautiful. There is an amazing museum there. Barber repaved not too long ago as well, so it's pretty smooth. Barber, Alabama, it's there's a lot of elevation there. It's very flowy. It's the best of everything, and and funner tracks to ride. Regardless if you're on a lower displacement bike, just like what I'm on, or the 1000 super bikes. It has for each rider, and I think that's what makes it great.
Very good. Well, I'm excited. I do want to apologize because earlier in the season, I said that I would go to Barber, but I could not make it to Barber. I'm a little pissed off about it. Just couldn't get my schedule together to work. But I wish I was there with you guys to film. I think your dad told me maybe Moa might be there. So we'll see who comes. But bar none, hands down, I'll be watching at home. I wish I could film it. We'll be doing more filming together. I bought this very specific lens to film you on a bike. So we'll see. I hope to eventually use it. But that being said, I'm really excited for you. Barber is the last race. It's the most beautiful track, and from what you described, it may be raining, which will be to your advantage. Just your gut feeling. Hope you don't get in trouble for this, but clearly you won't be in position to be the first, second, or third. What's your prediction on who's going to be first, second, and third?
I think Cody Wyman is going to take the championship. If Cody Wyman, he didn't end up crashing in race 1, and he got a podium finish there, and another podium finish in race, and immediately crowned the MotoAmerica Championship for the jersey already before we even got to the last race. I know Josh Herron for this year was already crowned the championship, at New Jersey. What is it? Tyler O'Hara and the baggers class. How big the points lead is, and I think for Superbike with Petrucci and Gagne, it's the last race of the year, and I'm very excited to see that as well. And I would say Cody Wyman. It's a tough battle between second, between LeMander Jr. So I can't really say. Time will tell. Third place will probably one of those two, either Kayla or LeMander. So they'll battle out for second. Whoever gets second will, and it's Max Van, and then it's me, and then Avery, and then on. I'm hoping for at least a top 5 finish in the championship this year. It's definitely doable. We're not. So we're gonna fight hard for our last race of the year. We're gonna try to finish good season, pretty strong, and we're gonna try to end off, on a good note.
All right, very good. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Aden. As usual, it's always a pleasure to have here. Of all the people I've interviewed you the most. I can't even remember. I can't even count how many times I've interviewed you. I do thank you for your patience in tolerating me, all my gazillion questions. I do know quite a bit now, a little bit more than I did when I first met you in February at Button Willow. I do have a much better understanding of the racing world, maybe more than I should, but yeah, it's been a pleasure interviewing you. I look forward to interviewing you. We'll watch you during Alabama, and then I would love to interview you again afterwards to just have your reflection. We've got a comment from a fellow racer here. Congrats on the position. Hope you do well next race. And that comes from none other than Steve Yang, who is the second Hmong professional MotoAmerica racer. He raced in Brainerd. Anything you want to say back to Steve?
Steve, thank you so much for the comment. I'll see you next year when we head back up to Brainerd. See you at Wisconsin as well. It'll be great to see you at 2 MotoAmerica races, and I'm very happy to see how far you've gone, Steve. I remember meeting you a few years back. Steve is one of the riders out there that put his mind to and finally achieve his dream and to getting into MotoAmerica, the professional. It's funny to say, but I've seen Steve grow up, even though he's older than me, from a track day rider, a street rider, and progress into a professional MotoAmerica rider as well. So thank you, Steve, for joining me along here in Long. Excited to see you again next year. I wish you the best.
Steve's going to actually be finishing up in CRA too at Brainerd. I think it's either next week or the week after that. But we wish Steve the best too. And I'll tell Steve the same thing I tell Aden: get that podium. And so talk is cheap. Just get on the podium, and it'll talk for itself. But Aden, safe travels to Alabama. We wish you the best. We saw you with Rich Oliver not too long ago. We saw that footage. So awesome that you're cross training, and I think I'm gonna try to film. Oh my gosh, my brain is so flustered. I'm gonna film my friend that we went on the tour. My brain is gone. I'm gonna feel him maybe ride in the next coming weeks too, so at a dirt race. So, okay, my
Sounds
friend.
good. All right, Long. Thank you so much. Thing before we do call it a night, because I know you and I are both very tired.
You more so than me because you just took a red eye.
Yeah, just landed back. Thank you for everyone here watching Mongoose once again. Long for you always been there, always up to date, even if it's watching, supporting me, MotoAmerica, and I know you and my dad, you guys chat a lot to date with everything. Thank you to all the fans. Thank you to all the people here tonight. And Long, once again, congratulations on hitting your milestone of 10,000. Very hard to get there, and let's work together. Let's make a few more zeros on it. Let's make it 100,000 and eventually a million. So Mongoose goes as well.
Yep, Aden Thao Racing will get there extremely quick. I am very sure of that. All right, Aden, have a good night. Shinji
All right, Long.